Hello and welcome to Premier Radio's Community Focus Show with me, David Howells. And I'm really pleased to say that today we're joined by Sarah Atherton, Member of Parliament for Wrexham. And it's been so long since we've spoken, Sarah, I just can't remember the last time it was. I know that the sun was shining and it was very hot. And here we are sitting in our winter clothing and it's freezing cold outside. So hello, Sarah, and how are you?
Hello everyone. I'm very well actually. I've just been saying now I'm not prepared for Christmas because I haven't got my sprouts on yet and there's only about a fortnight to go. So it's been really busy. I think I've just about got my Christmas cards out, but my Christmas tree isn't up yet. But we'll keep going. We've got a couple of weeks till the big man arrives. So it's really quite a nice time of the year.
And since the last time you and I spoke, a lot has been going on, both in Wrexham and in Westminster. And aside from the World Cup, there's been so many things that have been going on and happening, and it's just keeping a track on things. And some of the things I think you've been involved in as well recently, we look at transport, for instance, and it's the making of the Freedom of Information request for the proposed 100 million. Could you explain a bit about that for me?
Yes, so transport is quite a broad issue. And when I became an MP, I immediately realised that a lot of people were very unhappy with parking fines, which is an issue I've taken up. Being able to park and free of charge post-COVID to try and regenerate people coming back to our high streets. And I worked with the council on that, and we've now got free after 11. I've also worked with Eagles Meadow, and hopefully they're going to look at some parking incentives to get people back into Eagles Meadow and the town centre. But the biggest issue at the moment is the Welsh Government's proposal to make the whole of Wales in urban areas 20 miles an hour as a blanket speed limit. Now, we all agree 20 miles an hour is very appropriate in certain places like play parks, care homes, schools, hospitals, etc. But I undertook a survey locally from Wrexham residents, and 94% of the respondents disagreed with the Welsh Government's policy, which, by the way, is going to cost taxpayers to implement £32 million. But the Welsh Government are saying it will save £100 million. Maths isn't my strong point, but I fail to see how it's going to save us £100 million. So I have submitted an FOI, Freedom of Information request, to them, and I've just realised they should have responded probably by now, and they haven't. They have 20 working days to do a turnaround. So we'll be chasing them up to see how we're going to save, or the Welsh taxpayers are going to save £100 million on slowing Wales down at a time when Wrexham has some great opportunities facing it. And we don't need to be going backwards. We don't need to be slowing us down. We need to be making sure we can grab the opportunities going forward. So I know the constituents are with me on this one, so I'm going to keep battling to find out why. I mean, the Welsh Government are probably going to implement this against the wishes of the constituents and myself. But I just think if they're going to say statements like it's going to save us £100 million, we just need to know how they're going to do that. And if they are going to save us £100 million, please can we have it spent on healthcare in Wrexham?
And it's not just Wrexham, as you said there, it's across Wales. And you say quite rightly there are times and places in urban areas and sort of around schools in the communities where 20 is appropriate and at certain times, but not across the board carte blanche. And it doesn't necessarily mean that people will stick to 20, they may stick to 30. Where it used to be a 30, they may have stuck to 40, breaking the law. But the 20, I think, it's certainly going to be sticking at the back of everybody's throats, this thing. They're not going to let this one go because it doesn't prove to be successful across the piece. And certainly getting across somewhere like Wrexham, if you try to come at 20 mile an hour across Wrexham, you're probably adding 5 or 10 more minutes onto a journey, which makes you then more frustrated when you get there.
You've got some really good points there, and the evidence I've looked at has proven that it doesn't actually work. Modern cars struggle to actually go at 20 miles an hour. Then you've got fumes, emissions, brake had particles, you've got congestion, you're slowing people down at crossroads. And actually, I don't know how it's going to be policed, but it's going to criminalise decent, hard-working people going about their lives. And I just think it's really quite unnecessary. And actually, it's going to cause congestion, cause irritability and road rage. But you're quite right, near parks, schools, very tight single track road. I get all that in town centres, but as a carte blanche blanket response, I think it's quite inappropriate, and I think it's going to have an adverse effect on drivers.
And again, because we've not spoken for some time, November was quite a busy period, and it was quite a poignant time in everybody's lives. It's the remembrance events that take place across the country. And I believe you attended a number of events in Wrexham and in Parliament as well.
I did. I attended the Speaker's Remembrance Service, and I laid a cross on behalf of Wrexham here in Parliament. On Remembrance Sunday, it's always a busy day for me, so I get up super early, get suited and booted, polish my shoes, and before the service in Wrexham, I attend all the war memorials around the area. So I'm trying to think off the top of my head. We've got Gorsalt, Holt, Rossett, Gresford, Schley, where at Schley I got Sergeant Venables, who's a female cadet from the Royal Welsh Fusiliers, to lay my wreath on my behalf. And then I toddle off to the main Royal Welsh Fusilier Memorial in town, and I lay a wreath there on behalf of the people of Wrexham, to the fallen and the people that made sacrifice. It's a real special day for me. I come from a military family. I've got RAF, I'm Army, husband's Navy, so we cross the spectrum in our household. So it's always been very important to remember, to give thanks, and then to celebrate for the freedoms, that the sacrifices these people made for us. And it's a really special day, and it's one that marked very clearly in my family's diary.
And on a similar vein to that one, you recently embarked on a trip down to the Falkland Islands, and I saw that you also planted a flag down there as well. Right?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. So every year I collect money for the sale of poppies in Asda. And this year, a local lad called Owen gave me a rock that he'd written, painted a poppy on it. And I said, oh, I'm going down to the Falklands next week on a party from Parliament. There's a delegation of 4 MPs and 2 peers to accompany the Princess Royal down for the Falklands 40 event. I've been really lucky enough to attend. Would you like me to take this rock on behalf of his tide? And he didn't quite understand it, but he was really keen that I was going to take his rock to the Falklands. And I sort of thought, of course I will, thinking, flipping heck, that's a heavy rock. But of course I'll take it to the Falklands. So off I went to the Falklands. We had a few ceremonies down there, and I was really pleased to plant a flag and Owen's rock at Bluff Cove at the Welsh Guards Memorial for the Galahad and Tristan that went down in Fitzroy. So it was very special. It was a privilege to do on behalf of the people of Wrexham, to say thank you to those Welsh Guards that sacrificed their lives in '82.
Yeah, it's very, very poignant. It's part of my life as well. As you know, Sarah, ex-Army, lost a few friends down there. But now that the dust has settled a little bit more in Westminster, and people have now got more and more different jobs going on, and you've handed one job over, got another job back, and it's all been going around. You're still actively involved in the defence work itself, and then the annual review of the MOD, etc., which we spoke about some time ago. Is there any movement on that now? Has anything more happened?
Yes, well, I'm back on the Defence Select Committee, having been a Minister for Defence, People and Veterans for a while. You beautifully put that, David. So I'm back on the Defence Select Committee. I'll continue my work to support women in the armed forces and female veterans, which is picking up momentum, actually, and pace. And what we're going to see in the new year is probably quite a few quite distressing cases of abuse in the military towards women. This is the work I am absolutely involved in. And this is where I'm lobbying the government hard to make some changes. And they've made an awful lot of changes to the service complaint system. And I'm pleased about that, and I welcome that. And that is directly on the back of my report in the Defence Select Committee onto the experiences of women in the armed forces. I will continue to make sure that those changes happen, because ultimately it's a cultural change that's required, and that does not happen overnight. That could take years and years. But it's very incumbent on me, and I'm very privileged to have this role to do this on behalf of women, on behalf of our military. We need to modernise our military. We need to encourage recruitment and retention. Women make up 50% of the population, you know, and we need a level parade ground, as I put it, for women to do well in the military. So that work continues, along with other work going on within the Defence Select Committee, particularly around Ukraine at the moment, as they head towards winter. And have they got the right support, and have they got the right authority to use that support in the way that they want to use it? And also to look at the integrated review and the Defence Command Paper. And the integrated review is about the security of our nation. So it's defence as well as foreign policy. But the Defence Command Paper is more about the military. And how is the military going to be designed to meet the demands of the integrated review? And there's going to be a refresh on that in January. So we're really building towards contributing to that and scrutinising the government and challenging the government in a critical way, critical friend way, but also a critical way to make sure our military is fit for future purpose. And one of the bugbears I have is the reduction in military numbers. I think that's a wrong move from the government, and I'll be constantly a little bit of a thorn in their side on that issue also.
And can we just reiterate here, Sarah, this work that you're doing on the MOD side of it and on the Defence Select Committees, this is in addition to your commitments to the people of Wrexham. So you're not watering down your commitments to Wrexham. It's in addition to. So you're actually doubling up your workload, but not losing focus on Wrexham at all.
Oh no, Wrexham's my main priority, and we have 7 members of staff and myself constantly working for Wrexham and on behalf of that Wrexham. But this is in addition to that. This is the additional government work or parliamentary work that I'm doing. Yes, very much so. And the key focus at the moment in Wrexham is the Shared Prosperity Fund. So the UK government has allocated, I think I've mentioned it before, David, so people might be aware of this, 22 million directly to Wrexham Council. That's now been signed off, and I'm really, really keen that Wrexham Council use this money for what it's intended to do, which is to level up, give people in Wrexham a sense of pride in their town, to support small businesses. And I obviously am really keen that this is used wisely so we can see tangible differences within our town centre, because if you speak to anybody in Wrexham, they will mention the town centre. Now, we've got Chapter Court has started their redevelopment there, and that's interesting to see. We've obviously got Techniquest in the town centre. There's quite a few festivals and markets going on at the moment. So I'm seeing the shoots of good things. And I know I went on a walkabout with Eagles Meadow. I know they've got great plans and designs. So things are starting to come together. But, you know, we need to make sure that they come together in a cohesive, joined up sort of way that's going to benefit the town as a whole and not be sort of ad hoc or makeshift.
Indeed, and a number of things which are taking place, as we know, because we read the press, we watch the news, and we keep our ears to the ground, is things like the development of the racecourse ground. You know, that in itself is another milestone step forward, because without that, you can't hold international matches. You've then got the university at the side of it. So it is starting, as you say, to have the shoots are coming through, but it will take a lot of time. And the good people of Wrexham will always call it a town because it's in their heart. But the generations to come will only know it as a city. And if it prospers now, ready for them, that's got to be a good thing.
Well, my job is to pass on something for the next generation, and work that as best I can, and work with whoever in Wrexham will work with me for the betterment of Wrexham. And I see it very much that, we're doing it for us now, but we're mainly doing it for our children and grandchildren. So we want to pass on the legacy of the city of Wrexham. And you know what? It doesn't matter whether you call it a town or a city, it's what's in your heart that matters.
Indeed.
And there's some nice, good work going on in Wrexham. We just need to make sure it's coordinated. Because you mentioned the gateway, I can't wait to see all that developed. It's going to be very exciting. But we've got a phosphate issue at the moment, which I might have moaned on about before to people, where it's stopping people building. So whether that be a house or a commercial or business premises, you can't build. So we're not building houses for our kids to get the first step on the property ladder. We're not building the trading estate, building it up as we want to. So there's no jobs, extra jobs there. So we're a little bit, whilst we're pushing on one side, we're sort of being held back on the other by this phosphates issue, which is the Welsh Government issue, and also the road building issue. So, whilst we want easy access into Wrexham from the A483, we've got problems with the junction 3 to 6 there. And is that going to happen? And then if that happens, that's great. The whole reconfiguration of those junctions on the A483, that will link in with the local development plans so we can have the houses built. But at the moment, it just feels like all the dominoes are lined up. We just need one thing to push that first domino, and then everything will fall into place.
Which moves us on to, talking money there, aren't we? But moves us on swiftly then to the recent Chancellor's autumn statement. Now, whichever way you look at this, there has been a little bit of a bumpy pathway over the last couple of weeks, maybe months, on which one you look at. But the most recent autumn statement, could you give us an overview on that and how it might affect us here in Wrexham?
Yes, so I was pleased to go and see the Prime Minister and the Chancellor before the autumn statement to say one thing that the people of Wrexham have lobbied me hard on, and I'm coming to you to tell them what the people of Wrexham want, and that's protection of the triple lock. So I'm really pleased that that was protected in the statement. The national living wage increase, which is a pay rise of £1,600 for quite a few million up and down the country, is to be extended. More importantly, and it's something that I've actually spoken about this morning, is that Wales got an extra bonus on what they call Barnett consequentials of £1.2 billion extra to oversee some of the challenges that we are facing. Now, that money goes from the UK government to the Welsh government. Unlike the Shared Prosperity Fund, which comes to the council, this goes straight to the Welsh government. So there is money there now to help with hardship grants and loans and things like that to see us over the cost of living crisis. So that's really quite important. And I think one of the things I would love to see the Welsh government spend that on is perhaps sitting around the table with the RCN and looking at the nurses' strike. And trying to avoid further strikes, because I think the first one is tomorrow. So it'd be nice to see the Welsh Labour government, who manage and control NHS Wales, to perhaps use some of that money to look at how they can resolve the issue with the nurses.
I think it's critical to everybody, and as you say, dialogue, sit around the table, talk. Don't
talk. Absolutely.
Indeed.
Don't talk. Just keep talking. Don't draw lines in the sand.
Indeed. And something which you've been actively involved with is the Everyone Deserves a Christmas promotion as well.
Yes, this is really lovely. I was asked last year by the Rotary and Mecca Bingo to go and support Everyone Deserves a Christmas. And last year, what they did two things. They took donations of toys and gifts and they made them into gifts for children, but they also took in donations of money and they did hampers, fresh food hampers. It was a chicken, not a turkey, but we bagged it all up and it went off just before Christmas, so everyone could have a very special Christmas meal, with the crackers and the nuts and the after eights and all the little bits and pieces that we all overindulge with at Christmas. And it was absolutely lovely. So this year we thought we'd go one step further. So we met it over summer. We're looking to do 150 hampers this year, along with toy hampers. and we're now working with the Kaya Partnership and my office, and we set up a Just Giving page. So I got in touch with businesses to ask them to donate, and we've got more money this year. We're going to get more hampers. And one of the things that was commented on last year was some people didn't know how to cook a roast dinner. So this year we're going to put a recipe card in. We had the big debate on whether it be a cooked chicken or a fresh chicken, and we decided no, it's got to be a fresh chicken. It's for the family to get round the table, learn how to stuff it, have a bit of a giggle with the giblets, and produce a roast dinner. So this year they're going to have ingredients and recipe cards in them as well. So we're looking to do that just before Christmas, and then the Kaya Partnership will send it out to people. So young people, single people, families, single mums across the board, because this year we want a little bit more of a focus on not only single parents with children, but young men on their own. So we want to give them a bit of festive cheer as well. So that's going to be great just before Christmas. Everyone deserves a Christmas, and we're really looking forward to doing that. And thank you, by the way, to all the businesses that have donated.
Indeed, and it does go to show just what a great community we've got here in Wrexham, because we as a station have been greeted with such humility, people giving us things all the time, and it's just a lovely feeling. And at Christmas, it couldn't be better, could it? And one other thing which I think we want to have a touch on now is your Christmas card sort of competition type thing, which I'm going to apply for. Obviously, I'm going to send one in myself.
Well, every year I used to go to the schools and ask the children to draw a Christmas card. But this year, do you know, I was a dementia care social worker for a long time for care of the elderly, and I thought, you know, we're going to do things a bit different this year. We're going to do recycled memories. So we went to a care home, and I said to all the ladies and gents there, with varying stages of dementia, what do you remember of Christmas? Just whatever you remember of Christmas, just write it down, draw it, put it on a piece of paper. And it was absolutely lovely. So Ashgrove Care Home it was in Gresford, and Marion Davis won, and she remembers as a young girl carol singing in Albert Street in Wrexham. And she sang Away in a Manger, and she said she was singing on her own all the way along the street, and only one house opened the door and gave her a couple of bob. Don't think she said bob. I think she said something pre-bob. I can't remember, shilling or something. And she went into the front room there and she sang Away in a Manger. So Marion won the Christmas card competition. It was lovely to go and see her. I had a picture with Rishi Sunak, the Prime Minister, which I put in a frame for her, and I took her a gift, and she is on the front of our Christmas card, and over 300 have gone out here to various political colleagues. So colleagues from across the colours, from across the spectrum, are now looking at Albert Street as drawn by Marion Davis from Ashgrove Care Home.
Wonderful.
So it's lovely.
Yes, wonderful. Sarah, we're coming to the end of the time at the moment. We've only got 5 more minutes left on it.
Well, I do a very, very quick one. It was wonderful to be invited to St Giles's Church, along with representatives and charities from across Wrexham and elected representatives, to be met with King Charles III and the Queen Consort to yet celebrate and seal Wrexham as a city. And it was wonderful to have our King there. And I think all the crowds up and down the streets will join me in saying what a wonderful day it was.
Indeed, and it doesn't go with everybody. Some people moan about having royalty. Some people love having royalty. But I think, you know, it keeps the country bonded together in whatever way you look at it. And to have them come to Wrexham, which has been a long time coming, always seems to have been forgotten about, but I think it's a lovely thing to be part of. And why not just embrace it? You know, it's there.
Absolutely, and I think it was so lovely for them to come. They went to the football club, they went to Erddig, and if you're not a royalist, then don't come and see them. Your choice is yours, but it's wonderful that they decided to make a visit to Wrexham, and I, for one, thoroughly enjoyed it.
Well, Sarah, thank you very much again for taking the time out of your hectic schedule. We just heard there that it's not just Wrexham, it's everything you're involved with. and we certainly look forward to hearing from you in the new year. And everybody here at Premier Radio wishes you and your family and your staff a very happy Christmas.
Nadolig Llawen, and Fairy Tale of New York, please.
Indeed so. Thank you, Sarah.
Have a nice Christmas.
And yourself. Thank you.